And then tonight's game, Thursday Night Football, Houston Texans at the New York Jets. Would you be surprised if I told you the New York Jets at 2-6, favored by 1.5 against the 6-2 Titans?
Now, no. When the line first came
Texans.
out, yes, because I knew the line for some period of time.
But you were first surprised. It's the Texans, not the Titans. Just
kind of amazed that the line is 1.5. I mean, the Pat McAfee show read this out to J.J. Watt, who was astounded that the Houston Texans were underdogs in this game.
Always get someone else to criticize now. Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. He didn't understand what Vegas knew that he didn't.
JJ's not big on numbers generally.
Well, he's quite big on them when they say that TJ is the best player in the NFL.
Sack totals.
Yeah.
Big on those.
Right.
Unless he's not leading.
Yeah. He's big on the numbers that make his case for him.
He must have Will McDonald in the Defensive Player of the Year race here
think.
with his 8 sacks.
Right. I wonder if anyone's asked him. Anyway.
Can we get JJ on the show?
Is this just down to the fact that the Texans don't have wide receivers anymore? Like, is that what that is? Because, okay, they lose.
I think this probably
Nico
comes
Collins
down
is still
to
working his way back, right? And Stefon Diggs just tears his ACL. So now the Texans receiving core is Tank Dell, who in my prize picks lineup will get in the end zone, Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie. Like it's the guys that have been at the bottom of this roster who suddenly have to be the starters.
it probably comes down to Kevin Cole's adjusted scores.
Oh.
Something of the like. You know what I mean? It is, because remember the Jets beat the Steelers 21-20.
The Jets adjusted beat the Steelers.
In the adjusted scores. Yeah. So the the Texans have beaten the Colts by 2. They beat the Bears by 6. They beat the Jags by 4. They beat the Bills by 3. They lost to the Packers by 2. And they just beat the Colts by 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really comes down to winning, going 5-1 in games that were within 6 points, but like within 3 and 4 points, a bunch of either way. I was very high on the Texans coming into the season, and I think they've just I don't want to say it's like a miracle that they're 6-2. I think they deserve credit for finding a way to be 6-2 without even coming close to playing to their top capability. And then we might not even get to see their top capability because you lose Stefon Diggs. But once Nico Collins is back, like who can play better on the Texans? C.J. Stroud, we've seen him play better. We've seen the offense as a whole perform better. I think defensively, you can have a more consistent pass rush. I know Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson might have a lot of pressures. They haven't had a ton of just straight dominance up front. I think they have that in them. So I think everything on the Texans can be better, and they're sitting here at 6-2. And it's like when you go back and look at the first half of the season, it hasn't been a dominant 6-2 from Houston. And then from a Jets perspective, I know shouty show narratives and all this stuff, and it's all terrible and bad because they're 2-6. But you could just do the same, just flip it with the Jets. How many plays are they away from, winning some games? Lost 10-9 to the Broncos, 23-17 to the Vikings. They beat the Steelers 21-20 in the adjusted score, even though it was 37-15. Lose to Buffalo by 3, lose to the Patriots by 3. So that's where the line comes from. The Jets have a ton of close losses. The Texans have a ton of close wins. And so when you look at how well the teams have played, it's probably closer than the records. Throw the records out the window.
Throw them out.
So we're in for a good Thursday night football game is what I'm trying to say.
As Janko and Ben in the chat have pointed out, when they played last year, the Jets won 30-6. So that's
here's a reminder. Here's a reminder. That was the last time a Jets quarterback threw for 300.
Yes, in which C.J. Stroud completed 10 of 23 attempts for 91 yards. Meanwhile, Zach Wilson.
No, that was the game. Like I'm a big, me and the weather. This is a big rain game. So for C.J. Stroud, I'm like, throw it out. It's a rain game.
Mm-hmm.
But for Zach Wilson, do you put like a multiplier on these numbers because he did it in the rain? He went 27 of 36 for 301 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Zach Wilson.
So my answer to that as a box score is, well, Zach Wilson's not there anymore. Aaron Rodgers hasn't shown that he can put up 300 in the rain.
I'm just going to say the last great game a Jets quarterback had was week 14 or 15, whatever this was last year, Jets-Texans.
Yeah.
The Texans fell to 7-6 after this game. They were in the middle of their ascent. I think they had just beaten Cincinnati and proven, hey, they're really good.
I don't know that that's a repeatable game.
In New York, man, short week.
I don't believe that that's a repeatable game for the Jets. I think that was an aberration. And actually, the Texans are better than that and are going to show it against the Jets tonight.
Yeah. And I'm just, oh boy, I'm really here for the Jets narrative stuff. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. Al's going to have a lot of fun tonight. Going to get that steak delivered at halftime. It's just going to be another great game for Denver.
A lot of Halloween metaphors, you know.
Does Al have his own specific steakhouse that he gets delivered from? Does he bring his own chef? Where's the steak?
They showed in the game
because he lives in L.A.
Yeah, they showed his steakhouse in the game last week, the Vikings Rams game.
But that's his home game,
right? But he had like his own table by the window.
Does he have a certain like it's? I know Ruby's is probably delivering the one time he comes to Cincinnati, right?
I think it's probably just the steakhouse for each individual city. You know what I mean? Like Cincinnati's the steakhouse is Ruby's.
Who do we talk to get that into our rider? I mean, it doesn't have to be. We do 3 shows a week, but if like one show a week, we just had a steak waiting for us. Doesn't have to be halftime. We don't have to like after the show. Just like a steak waiting for us over here.
Yeah.
We talk to Mark. Who do we talk to?
I think we probably have to make a lot more money for that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Next contract, maybe.
Right.
Next contract. I'm looking forward to this game. Look, there's one more just actual football thing to watch. Jets run defense. Still don't trust them. Every single week, they're played a little bit better against New England. They actually did a pretty good job overall bottling up New England's run game, even though Ramondre Stevenson found the end zone twice. The Texans' offense, as inconsistent as they've been, the Joe Mixon factor is, he's been good for them. He's if they didn't have Joe Mixon and they had last year's run game, it would look that much worse. And I think it did at times when he was out. So just something to keep an eye on. I think Texans have a chance to run the ball against this Jets defensive front. And we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can get the troops going.
Yeah.
Special teams has been bad for the Jets. The defense hasn't been as good. And look, I'm not saying it's all on Aaron Rodgers, but there's something about him having that control over the whole squad where I think all these other pieces have gotten worse. And I think he deserves some of the blame for that.
Yeah, look, I do think it's worth pointing out. Like, I think you're right to make the point that they are sort of a few plays away from winning some of these games. I don't think the Jets are terrible in a way some of these other teams with bad records are.
Yeah,
the Jets are actually quite close to being able to not just win a few games, but like beat a lot of good teams. So I do think that they could easily in any given week just snap it together, not make a couple of mistakes, and suddenly they do hang 30, they do put up 300 yards, they do, all these things that they haven't necessarily done yet on pretty much anybody. But they haven't yet, and that's why they've got the record that they have. The interesting side is going to be, I think, to me, the other side of the ball. Like, what does this Texans offense look like without their top 2 receivers effectively? Now, Tank Dell and the likes of Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson have got to lead the line, or do they just try and go, well, we don't have any receivers anymore, let's try and run the ball to death with Joe Mixon? Like, what does this offense look like? What does Bobby dial up for a game where he doesn't have the 2 guys that he wants to throw the ball to the most?
The podcast chat is theorizing Al Michaels' Halloween costume. Vegetables? You dress up as a VeggieTale?
Do you dress as the thing that scares you the most?
Oh, that's what Kirk should dress. Kirk should be one of the VeggieTales.
Kirk should dress up the dog. What's his name? Ben? Ben. Kirk should bring in Ben, dressed up as a
cucumber.
Dressed up as like a cauliflower or something, and just watch Al leap out of the booth window.
Need that tonight. So tune in Amazon Prime tonight, just to see if Kirk dresses up the dog. All right, Texans at the Jets. Oh man, every year this happens, right? A line that seemingly doesn't make sense based off records, based off all this stuff, right? I'm a sucker for it every time, right? I'm like, there's no way the Jets should be favored here. I'm absolutely taking Houston. Are you a sucker as well?
Our general pick scores would suggest yes.
Perfect. So I'm taking Houston. You're taking Houston because we're suckers. And Harry, 9-year-old, also a sucker as well. We're all taking the Texans here. And looks like the Jets are falling to 2-7. In real record, though, not in adjusted.
Yeah, according to PFS data, 93% of the money in this game is coming in on the Texans.
Oh, yeah. This is the one. These are the lines Vegas throws out there to mop up.
Right. So the only people out here that don't think this is going Houston's way is Vegas setting the line.
Cue the ref conspiracies tonight. There's a lot. There's a lot to watch tonight. I'll take the Texans, though. Sticking with it.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.